Delayed flights and cancellations at major airports around Australia have plunged some school holiday plans into chaos. Joining us live is Geoffrey Thomas. He's the editor-in-chief at airlineratings.com. Jeff, good to see you. Thank you.
Yeah,
we saw the start of the school holidays were pretty manic at the airports, so many cancellations, a lot of stressed travellers. How are things going now?
Well, things have certainly settled down. I mean, unfortunately, Friday and Saturday on the weekend, it was crazy, mainly because of the winds in Sydney. And to explain that, Sydney's got two north-south runways, one east-west runway. And when the winds are from the west, very strong, or from the east, they've got to use that runway, close the other two, which then cuts in half the number of flights that can go through Sydney. Now, Sydney is our biggest airport. Qantas, half of its flights go through Sydney every day. So it's not only just Sydney's impacted, right across the network, everything falls over. There's all sorts of complications right around Australia if Sydney goes down to one runway. And that lasted for a couple of days. So there's a lot of knock-on effect recovering from that. And also we had air traffic control shortages in Brisbane as well, which also impacted Brisbane, which is Virgin Australia's home base. So there's been a few problems, but it has settled down. Let's cross fingers that it stays that way.
Okay, well, we can't blame the wind on the COVID pandemic, but have we returned to sort of normal situation, or is it still just illness really plaguing
Illness is still plaguing. There's still COVID out there. People are still getting COVID. Friends of ours just got COVID. So it's still out there. It's still impacting. Nothing like it was middle of last year, but certainly it is still a factor. And therefore you get problems as well. Pilots getting sick, flight attendants getting sick, haven't got the crew. And there's also a continual labour shortage in the aviation industry and other industries as well. And everybody's scratching their head saying, well, where has everybody gone? Because there seems like, a quarter of the world's population's taken a gap year. There's shortages almost in every component of the aviation industry, shortages of staff.
And have some airlines still not returned to Australia?
Look, there's a number of airlines that are still to come back, and other airlines, Perth, for instance, a good example for Cathay Pacific. They used to have 10 flights a week. They've currently got 3. They're getting back to 5 at Christmas time, 7 in January, I think it is. That's one example. Thai International hasn't come back to Perth. Garuda hasn't come back to Perth, for instance. And that is replicated around Australia, where either the airline has not come back or it's short on capacity because they're still bringing aeroplanes back from the desert. Qantas is still bringing A380s back, so it's still a challenge. It's still a challenge.
And what about airfares? Are they going to be getting back to normal soon?
Look, I think so. If people book far enough ahead, there are deals to be had. The trouble is most of us want to sort of impulse and say, look, we're going to go to Bali next week or Fiji next week. They're expensive. They're expensive. But if you plan well ahead, then you are going to get better airfare deals, better hotel deals, better hire car deals, because hire car costs have gone through the roof as well. So you need to plan well ahead to get the best fares. But I think within 12 months, it should normalise.
Yeah, we hope
12
so.
months. Yeah.
Tell me, Jeff, about the 737 MAX. Virgin
the MAX
has one of these, don't they?
Yeah.
What sort of plane is it? Is it safe?
Look,
I assume so, if Virgin's going ahead with it.
Well, look, it is actually an outstanding aeroplane. Yes, it had 2 tragic crashes, and everybody blamed Boeing. But the reality is, and it's only coming out now with comprehensive crash reports from participants to those crash reports, like the French and the Americans, that it was pilot training that was deficient. Pilot training. In fact, the French have blamed the Ethiopian crash on pilot training. And before the Boeing MCAS system kicked in. The MAX itself is an outstanding aeroplane, now with the modifications done to it by Boeing. An amazing plane. There's over 1,000 flying now. It's since it came back into service, a million flights. So it really is performing. It is now the most reliable aeroplane out there, and Boeing's got to build another 5,000. So it's very, very popular aeroplane. And in the hands of a well-trained crew, great aeroplane.
Okay, I'm going to put you on the spot here. What's your favourite plane to fly on? as an aviation.
Well,
buff.
it used to be the 747. Everybody's favourite aeroplane was 747. But look, the 787 or the A350 from Airbus, they're both outstanding aeroplanes. The all composite aircraft that have a lower pressurisation, altitude. And you don't get the impact of jet lag as much. So yeah, they're two really good aeroplanes.
Okay, Geoffrey Thomas, always appreciate your insights. Thanks so much.
Pleasure.